W legends Jerry Lynn and Mikey Whipwreck. Now, let's welcome your host, Mike Freland.
Hello, how are ya? My name is Mike Freland. It's another Tuesday night. This is Front Row Material. I am always joined by my wonderful, wonderful co-host who somehow is not available on the video version of the show right now, but his name is the Ritt, and it looks like the Ritt just got disconnected. Hopefully he'll be joining us soon. We got a great show for you guys tonight, so it'll be the Ritt and I talking some wrestling, and then tonight's big guest is going to be Angelina Love. Make sure that you hang around for that. That's going to be coming up at the top of the hour at the 9 o'clock. And then we're going to be talking about the end of year awards. Yep, that's right. You guys, the listeners of Front Row Material, went ahead and weighed in on what your favorite themes were, interviews were, panel members, etc., etc., etc. And we're going to be going over that, the winners and acceptance speeches and all that good stuff. And then coming up at 10 o'clock, we're going to be doing the panel. Got some great wrestling topics that we're going to be talking about. Hopefully those will be piquing your interest as well. And as always, we want you to be jumping in the chat. Join us as well. Throw in your comments, your questions, your thoughts. And also, if you would like, you'll be able to call the hotline as well. The hotline will be up and running. But until the Ritt gets here, first thing is first. I don't know about you guys, but I almost feel like I need a vacation from my vacation break, if that makes any sense. And follow me on this. So it's been a good vacation break as a teacher. Obviously, I don't have to do lesson planning. I don't have to be getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, getting to work, all that kind of stuff. And it's been very nice. But I will say this. We have spent an absorbent amount of time with family, which is great. Don't get me wrong. I feel like I've seen my family more in the last 2 weeks than I've seen them in the last 12 months. So family time is good time. However, how many of you guys would agree that sometimes there's that time in the evening where you're like, gotta wrap this up here. Dad or mom or somebody's just uncle such and such is going on some type of weird little rant about something. Kids are all hyped up on candy. You are literally just exhausted. And you just gotta woosah yourself for a while. So anyway, it's been really good. Hope your holiday season has been going well. As you can see, I got a little bit different of a backdrop this week. Thought I would show off the Christmas tree, and Miss Megan went ahead and put this up. She did a great job, and we haven't taken down any of our stuff yet. So what is the common belief system on when you should start taking down holiday stuff? Does that come down after New Year's? Or are you like Mikey Whipwreck, who takes this down literally the day of Christmas? Are you like Jerry Lynn, who takes it down the day after Christmas? What is your thoughts on that? Definitely throw it into the chat and let us know your thoughts. I don't know what the hell was going on with you, but we're getting ready to start. All of a sudden I hear shit's going down at your house, all this rustling, and what the hell's going on? And then all of a sudden, your screen goes totally blank.
Well, I went to move my laptop, and apparently I pulled the freaking the wire right out.
Pulled the wire out?
Yeah.
Good God.
So I had to go to my my actual laptop camera.
Boogster says you're a little hot on the mic right now.
What do you mean I'm a little hot in the mic?
You're a little hot on the mic.
Do you think I'm a little hot in the mic?
No, you sound kind of like you're in a tunnel, though.
I don't know.
Yeah?
But, hey, all I know...
Yes, please share.
You have to be hyped. This is the last show of the freaking year.
The last show of the year, that's it. After this, there's no mo.
Well, no more the next year.
This is true.
But no, I'm excited. We got 10 awards going out tonight, baby.
I was telling everybody, we got the awards, the end of year awards. We got Angelina Love coming up at the top of the hour at 9 o'clock. We got the panel coming up at the 10 o'clock hour. You and me right now for at least the next 45 minutes, just chatting about anything and everything. So how was your holiday so far, bud?
It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad.
He's a man of few words.
No. It wasn't bad. I enjoyed it. The kids really, enjoyed the presents they got. I didn't wrap a single thing. Screw that. They already knew what they were getting. The spoiled little brats.
Wait a minute. Hold on. You don't wrap Christmas gifts.
Not if you pick it out.
So you took the kids out and you said, "What do you want? Go get it."
Yeah.
So what about Santa?
Santa got him whatever else is left over.
Okay.
In case any kids listening to this podcast, which if you do, I apologize. Your parents should be shot.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
You should not be listening to this podcast without parental guidance.
You should. Good God, we're coming hot here. Oh man. If you are a child watching this and Santa's a big thing to you, hey, hope Santa got you everything that you wanted. And if there is an adult that's allowing you to watch this, you want to ask them to please put the eggnog down. They might be not making some great choices right now. So, yes, Boog is saying, is that the dead ant chair? It is still the dead ant chair. I moved it so you guys could see this wonderful backdrop.
Wait a minute here. We almost went through the entire holiday season, Freeland, and we did not see Meg's blow Santa yet.
Megan has not blown Santa, and this is the last episode of the year. So, I mean, I don't know if we're going to have our Christmas stuff up. Should I have her come out and blow Santa?
I was getting ready to text her if you wasn't going to ask.
No, go text her right now.
Okay. Let me sit there and throw the old text message out.
I text her. I want to say hey to Boog, Order Entertain 2020, ECW fan. Thank you guys so much for being in here. Jersey Devil _82. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. So while he is doing that, I do want to give you guys a little bit of an update. And I'll talk about this more when it comes to the panel tonight. But a lot of people were wondering how I was feeling after last week's episode. It was a very colorful evening, to say the least. Okay. Yeah. Some Pepto, some of those, what do they call those little, they're like chalky little bottle caps that you eat. Tums.
Yes.
So I was having some of those, milk of magnesia, all that kind of stuff. Went through a couple of pairs of tighties, but it was all worth it. It was all worth it for Filthy Tom.
Don't sit there and be so modest, Freeland. Meg's told me you went through 2 packs. Two packs of
2 pairs, but
2 packs of tighty whities, and there were 3. And she said there were 3 packs.
There were 3 pairs in a pack.
Yeah, so you went through 6 pairs.
6 pairs of tighties, yeah, I did.
Don't be modest. It's okay.
That's why you should always get. I think it's always a good idea to get the colored underwear if you're going to wear the tighties. Do you wear tighties or do you wear briefs?
I got to wear the boxer briefs because I got to let the boys hang. You know what I'm saying?
Why did you go all like Vince McMahon with that?
Because
I gotta let them hang. Yeah,
because you gotta have balls the size of grapefruits.
Oh my god, unbelievable!
I can't wait. I got confirmation from Megs. I asked her if she could blow Santa live on the air.
Did she respond?
She said, "Okay, when?" I said, "Now, please."
Yes, come out and blow Santa, and we'll see what happens.
So, this is great. You know, only here on FRM Pod you can watch us live. Somebody blowing Santa.
I mean, that's not often that happens, but when you need to have someone blow Santa, you got to call on the girl who can do it, and she's done it for many years here. And how many years has she started to blow Santa? I'm trying to think here. When we first got it, which had to have been at least 2 years. I wonder if she blew Santa when we were at the apartment, not at the house.
I know last year was the first she did it live, so that's why I said it's a tradition. She has to do it every year now.
Yeah, hold on. Megan! She's on her way. She's on her way.
Freeland, all right. She had to get prepped.
All right, so let's get this ready. So let's see here. I'm going to move my microphone for a quick second. All right, here we go. It's time to give Santa a BJ. All right, here we go. I'm going to put this here. I don't know if you can see it. Where is the Santa at?
Wow, Freeland. All I know is that friggin' aerial version.
Is this blurry to you or is this good?
No, it's good. It's good.
All right, here we go.
Just at the right spot.
Blow him. Blow that shit. Hard. Ah, you turned him off. Turn him back on. Turn him back on. Yeah.
Encore.
Get into that. Yeah. Ooh, that's some good shit right there. All right, there is an official cameo by the wonderful Megan. She officially blew Santa part of 2021. Thank you, honey.
That's how you. Ooh, mate. Wait a minute, Freeland. This is going to be the tradition.
Yeah.
To take us off the air every year before we go to the new year, Megs is going to blow us out.
That's fine.
It's going to be a new tradition.
That's fine. Hey, I'm all for that.
So
I am all for that. So, when do you plan on taking down your Christmas decorations and all that?
Whenever someone else does it, no, I'm not doing it.
You're not going to take any...
I have a collapsible tree.
What the fuck is that supposed to mean?
Like, you grab it by the top,
yeah,
you pull it straight up,
yeah,
and then you put the bottom post in,
and
it's done. It comes with lights, everything.
The whole shebang.
The whole shebang. It's a Disney tree. It's fantastic.
You Disney people. Mikey's into Disney. Are you really hardcore Disney?
Depending on what it is. You know, there's certain aspects that I really enjoy. Like I love Wizard Mickey. That's kind of one of my favorites. I actually, when we were down to Disney, spent a little bit of money on one of the hand-drawn sketches.
Oh wow, an officially hand-drawn Mickey sketch?
Yes.
Wow.
So
look at you.
Well, you know, Freeland.
High roller.
Like I always say, money's no object.
Well, I want to ask you, what did you get for Christmas? What did you personally get?
Not a whole lot. You know, got me a little thing to take care of my tootsies. Little foot massager thing. You put your feet in.
Do you get pedicures?
No, but I know a lot of people that, you know, who got like you after you're done trying to retain your championship, the diabetes. And once your feet are gone, they're gone. So I kind of like to take care of my feet.
Once your feet are gone, they're gone. Well, that's kind of the way it works.
Yeah. But, you know, I want to take care of them, make sure I don't have any problems with them. I hate feet overall. They're disgusting.
Well, let's talk about that for a second. Are you a foot guy?
No, they're disgusting.
You don't like pretty feet?
No. Socks on. You know, that's it.
Man, there's some people who like feet.
No.
So if there's any men in the chat in the chat right now, let us know if you like feet. If you think feet are very attractive, let us know in your thoughts. I'd love to know. So would you say, Ritt, you've never sucked toes?
No.
You are no way gonna. Okay. Well, I'm a Rex Ryan guy, so what can I say? And if you get that inside joke, you'll understand where I'm going with all of this. So no AEW merch for you? You didn't add to the old collection?
No. I was sitting there seeing if any of the fans wanted to donate.
You are now asking for handouts?
No, well, you never know.
What kind of person are you? What kind of person are you? Actually looking for listeners and supporters of this great brand we have to give you something.
Freeland, let me tell you, first things first, do not say I mooch anything.
I never said that.
We have got an award coming for you, buddy.
There's an award. Now, we don't know if I won yet. Are the polls closed?
Yeah, the polls are closed.
Okay.
All the winners are in. They're lined up. I got a few acceptance speeches.
Oh, you have some acceptance speeches from some of the winners, huh?
Yeah, some of the wieners.
There you go. Hopefully there's a little poo-poo and pee-pee involved in all that, too.
You never know.
I do want to share a couple things with you that I got for Christmas this year. So I did get some AE dubs.
I know. I know one of them.
How do you know this? Were you in on this?
Meg sent me a picture and said, "Hey, is this a good figure?" And I said, "Yeah, you son of a bitch. I don't have that one."
Okay. All right. One of them here is Pentagon.
Yes.
I got Penta. Let me go ahead and put that down. Next one I got Le Champion. Chris Jericho. Got that guy. What else do I got? I got Santana.
Yes. Very nice.
You have all those three so far, right?
I have all those ones. This one here. No, never mind.
Rey Phoenix.
It's the next one.
Oh, you don't have this guy? You don't have this guy? You don't have Jake Hager?
Oh, no, I had that one. Holy crap, how many did you get, Freeland?
Well, I'm supposed to get a couple of more because my other family bought dupes. So I had to take some back.
Huh?
And I also got something else. But I also got this. Da-na-na-na, thank you for being a friend. It's Fisher Price and those little dolls your kids play with. Well, they made some for the Golden Girls, so I got that. So
I didn't get to send yours out yet.
Send out what? Shut up. What are you doing?
It's coming your way, my man. Coming your way.
Send me anything.
Freeland, family, you got to take care of each other.
You are a good. Well, I feel like I don't do enough. I know this. Hey,
you sit there and do you, baby. You do you, and occasionally you can do Meg's.
You do. The urologist says it's good, and to keep a good flow going. So sometimes you got to do you. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Hey, you. Okay. All right.
Well, where's that last one at?
The last.
Figure.
Are we talking figure?
Yes, that last figure. I know Meg's better have gotten it. She sent me a picture of a figure, and I said, I do not have it.
Oh, yes. I don't even know why I couldn't even think straight. I tell you what, I'm going to step out for one hot second. I'm going to go get that, and then I'll be right back. You keep talking to all these wonderful people.
Hey, you know what I'm going to be doing, baby? Hey, what we're going to do is bam! Head right over to brainbustertees.com/other/front-road-material. Get all your favorite front row material merchandise. We've got merchandise for every show. We've got your 6 Degrees of Ritt and Renegade. We've got your FRM Pod stamp shirt. We've got your front row material Ritt and Freland shirts. We've got, bam, Call to Beardo. Boog, this is for you. Where did you buy the shirt? You've been asking me for months. And we've got Future Stars now. So, guys, head on over to brainbustertees.com/other/front-road-material and get some merch. Send the pics in. We want to sit there and see you in your favorite front row material merchandise. So, guys, head on over there and get the merch. But also, later on tonight, 9 o'clock, we have one half of the beautiful people, Angelina, Love, stopping by. And I can't wait for Freeland to get back in here because, good Lord, I'm kind of jealous that he has this figure and I do not. So, man, when Meg sent that, I'm like, man, where is it? I'm jealous. I needs me it. So, Freeland, let you come back in.
Yeah, so I got it. I completely forgot.
I didn't. I need that.
And it is brand spanking, no creases, no nothing.
That there goes right down there.
It's the Cody and the LJN box. But that's not the only. That's not the only thing. So she got me all of those. But then guess what? Oh shoot! I got myself 4mm.
Look at you, Freeland.
Championship right here.
Nice.
So it's heavy as hell too. So I got that. So I made out pretty well.
Yes, you did. I'm actually looking for myself.
Wasn't at Target, you son of a bitch. Shut your mouth. Saw it at Target. Anyway, continue.
I sit there and thinking about possibly getting the TNT title. I kind of like it.
Over the world title?
Yeah.
I like it. Or are you going to get the one that has the red strap, or are you going to go with black?
The red strap's got to be the red strap.
Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts?
Yeah.
On Cody being the first 3-time TNT champion?
I like the idea personally because I think it's exactly what he needs. He's kind of that situation where John Cena was, right? Where he's not a heel, yet he's kind of dancing in the world of babyface. Now that he has a belt, I feel like now he can really get nuclear heat on himself. And I think this is really going to propel him. I think this is actually what he needs. And I don't think Sammy really needs the title because Sammy was already over. It was great for the belt to help Sammy, but I think it's going to do more for Cody right now. What are your thoughts?
I think the same thing. I think this is the final nail in the coffin for all those fans to give Cody all the heat and turn him, to that heel that everybody wants. Quite possibly, just look at the list of opponents that he could have. I'm kind of big on Lance Archer to go after that title and hopefully come away with the title in the end. I just don't know what other baby faces they could sit there and throw at him from the mid-card scene that would work out.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, it's one of those deals where when you look at people on the AEW roster and you try to find out who would be a good viable candidate. I mean, obviously Miro, when he comes back, I think he's been given a great amount of time off. I think there's no doubt Lana will be with him or whatever she's going to be called, CJ or whatever she ends up being called. Can we agree that's a foregone conclusion?
Yeah, I definitely see, them bringing her in. Hopefully, they could possibly showcase to see if she's actually went further along in her wrestling training. But can we also agree that, AEW needs to focus a little bit more on the women's division to elevate that also?
Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. I feel like you have a very small pool of women that, I feel like outside of this past week, a lot of the women have been doing a lot of things on Dark and Dark Elevation. Mm-hmm. I love Layla Hirsch. I feel like she needs to be more in the mix. I feel like
Statlander.
Yeah, Chris had a great match against Layla, and I feel like that's the way with her. They always kind of throw her out there. She ends up looking good against some of these more mid-card women, but when she goes against more higher up on the card, she typically loses. I'd like to see her more involved in it. I definitely think Serena Deeb needs a big push. I'd actually like to see Serena Deeb have her own faction. I think that would be really, really cool. I'm a big Serena Deeb fan.
Okay, go back a little bit to Statlander. Mm-hmm. Do you think she is the AEW equivalent to Natalya, where she's just out there, can put on a solid match with anybody, and just will never, ever gain that traction she needs?
I think, I don't want to say never, but I feel like right now where she's at with the AEW roster, I feel like they put her with a faction, and she's always been with Best Friends, but with her and Wheeler Yuta, I feel like that was intended to maybe give her a little bit more of a rub. And I don't feel like it's done as much as it was expected to do. Now, granted, she alone is great, but I just don't see, unless she changes and she goes away from this happy-go-lucky person and gets a little bit of an edge to her and maybe cuts some scathing promos or something, or gets a little fire in her, I feel like she's going to be kind of stuck in that same place.
Now, but, I understand what you're saying. She can't hold a candle to Natty. I'm just comparing her along the lines of that you can put her in a match with pretty much anybody. kind of like what Jerry did a little bit when he was in ECW, to where, oh, we're going to bring someone in for a tryout. You know, we're going to let him work Jerry. AEW kind of does the same thing a lot of times with Statlander, where they're going to have her, new people come in. They're going to work Statlander, and they're going to have a good solid match, just like with Natalya. You can put Natalya with anybody, and they're going to bring the best out of them. Even Charlotte said that one of her best matches ever was against Natalya, and that was really early in her career.
I'd love to know what everyone's thoughts are. What about Kris Statlander? What are your thoughts? Do you feel like she's somebody who's going to get stuck in that, just that mid-card level where she puts on a great match, but you never really see her going after a championship? Or do you feel like, no, she's going to break through? But like I said, Ritt, if there are some things she does not change, I don't feel like she's going to necessarily break through. I feel like there needs to be something. She needs to have that feud that starts to put her more so on the map. I feel like AEW really likes Red Velvet a lot. I'm sorry, I'm not a big Red Velvet person right now. Once again, I need to find that there's fire behind some of these people. I don't really see the fire behind Red Velvet. Jade, I keep going back and forth with Jade. I have a strong feeling they're going to put the TBS title on her. I don't necessarily like the idea of that, but that may be something that she needs to kind of propel her. But as far as Statlander, I mean, she almost needs to either break away from Best Friends and stand on her own, or she needs to do something, maybe attack somebody or whatever it may be. But they definitely need to give her a more prominent spot when it comes to TV time, because she's phenomenal in the ring. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I'd love to know what other people's thoughts are.
Yeah. It's almost like they kind of forced the second women's title in there, because like you don't have that strong. You have a lot of women on your roster, but you don't have a strong women's roster to hold two singles title belts.
Right.
And okay, you have Taya Conte, excellent worker. She's come a long way since AEW started till now.
Right.
You've got Anna Jay. She's also come a long way, but they're more of a tag team. Like, why? I didn't understand why AEW didn't go for a women's tag team title instead of a second singles title.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I don't know why you would have two women's championships. I mean, the only thing I can think of is, if you are going to make this comparison, WWE has a Raw and SmackDown women's champion, but that may be where the comparison ends. I don't necessarily think if Jade wins, which I think we all know she is, a Jade Britt Baker type of thing, I don't find it to be that interesting, to be honest with you. I like Britt, but I do think it's time for Britt to drop the belt. Britt is already over. The belt has already done what it's supposed to do. I'm gonna pull up the AEW women's roster and just kind of look at some of these other people that are on their roster that they might not necessarily be utilizing very well.
They do a casino battle royale for the women, don't they now?
They do. They bring in different men in here, but it's not like they're consistent people that are on the roster all the time. It's usually like the Royal Rumble. You'll have so many spots that are just filler spots.
What would you sit there and think of the women's casino battle royale? A Jamie Hayter winning.
I love Jamie Hayter. Love her.
And then have her, build it up to the kind of like the, Triple H Batista type thing of, oh, she's going to go after Jade. She's going to go after Jade. And then she turns and says, no, Britt, I'm going after you.
I think that would be great. Jamie Hayter needs to be on her own. I don't think Jamie Hayter is the type of performer who needs to be in a faction. She's too strong. She's got too much of a personality. I think she's a great talker when she's given a chance to talk on the mic, and her skills are ridiculously good. I do think it's just a matter of time before the whole Britt Baker faction, especially with Rebel, whatever you want to call her, Reba, that ends and she stops being her lackey, because I think a lot of people have been wanting that to happen. And I think Jamie Hayter definitely will step aside as well, and you will see those two slowly start emerging as well. So, but yeah, it's definitely kind of head scratching to know why AEW wanted to put a second women's championship within the organization. It's when you could have gone a couple of different ways. You could have went men's trio and women's trio. You could have done that, and I think that would have been really interesting. Or like you said, a tag team. I think that would have worked out.
Yeah, you and I have discussed several times in phone calls about a trios title.
I think trios title would be perfect.
You look at you want to have all these factions, but you got to sit there and give them something to work for, or these factions mean nothing.
Well, there's so many people on the roster, though, that aren't even really doing anything. And I hate to say this, but there's some people in AEW who I question why they are signed to All Elite.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and just from a fan perspective, I wonder that. I question that.
Yeah, and just look at all the recent stuff. Like, I understand, if it's a great talent, why not sign it? You know what I mean? Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly. But everybody kind of knew somehow that Adam Cole's going to have to make that decision. The Young Bucks, or was it Red Dragon?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think the Undisputed Era is what I'll refer to them now, because I don't necessarily think they have a group name yet, because they're not quite determined to be a group yet.
Mm-hmm.
Adam Cole, he stated on BTE. I was thinking about doing a podcast just about BTE and covering every episode and going into different things. I don't know if anyone actually does that already, but I will say this. Kate Hensler, who works with us as well, she does a podcast as well, and it goes into all things AEW. So definitely, if you're a big AEW person, definitely check out that podcast. I'll put the information up before the end of the show so you can look at it. But I think they're going to explore the Kyle O'Reilly, Adam Cole situation. Tony Khan made a comment in an interview recently. Why reinvent something? People already knew X, Y, and Z happened in this federation. Well, why don't we just kind of carry that on into ours, and instead of just pretending like it never happened? As the opposite, WWE acts like nothing ever happened before. Does that make sense? And we talk about insulting the wrestling fans' intelligence. Well, that's exactly what it does. And what you saw when you saw Adam Cole pulling Kyle O'Reilly off on, was it Christmas night? Or no, that was
it was Wednesday.
Wednesday night.
I was on Dynamite.
There was a little bit of tension. Did you notice that? There was a little bit of uncertainty. And I think that's exactly what they're talking about when it comes to the history between Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole, which has definitely been there for a while. So I think that'll be interesting.
Speaking of women talent, Jersey Devil wants to put up there, is there someone on the roster you think that can be elevated, or should you bring in a strong outside talent such as Lady Frost or a veteran like Lufisto? Lady Frost, isn't she signed with Impact?
I think Lady Frost is with Impact. I do believe. Yes. And the working relationship with Impact Wrestling and AEW has since expired. I think she'd be a great addition. However, as we all know, I think, is it known? Is it publicly known, or is this just something I know? Who kind of runs the women's division in AEW?
I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. I'll keep that one to myself. But when it comes to the women's division, I think it would be a great idea to bring in a Lufisto to work with the ladies as well. I think she's dynamic. I think she's got a ton of experience, but I also think she can go. I think she'd be a perfect example, just like a Trish Stratus would be, like a Mickie James would be, like a player coach type of situation. I think that would be tremendous.
Well, look at the possibility of bringing in Chelsea Green.
I like Chelsea. I have some reservations to some degree. I think Chelsea's in the same category as the Bunny. I feel like unless she is booked properly and she's put with the right person, or she's given the right start from the word go, I feel like she's going to fall into that same category as a Statlander. Does that make sense?
Yes.
She needs to have some type of, oh my God, I never thought this was in you, type of a moment where all of a sudden you start to forget about what they once were, and now you're more engaged and you're shocked because of something that they just did differently. So I think if you package her a little bit differently, I think you can definitely have something to go with here.
And then if you want to go on the other end, like Jersey Devil sit there and brought up, why not bring in the ROH Women's Champ Roxy?
That's a good question, because I do have on good authority that they are going to continue to defend the Ring of Honor championships. They are still going to keep them going as long as I guess they can right now. They are being defended in GCW right now, because I do know that Jonathan Gresham has defended his Ring of Honor championship in GCW before, and I think he's planning on doing it again. Don't quote me on that, but I do believe there's another upcoming event that they're going to do where he's going to defend the championship. So I would love to see somebody like a Roxy. I think that they have so much talent with Ring of Honor. Speaking of Ring of Honor, not to be jumping all over the place, but Brody, do you think they'll bring Brody King into AEW? There was a vignette that was done, was it like a week or so ago, and it had Malachi Black, and there was almost someone who was like kneeling or bowing before him, and there was a lot of speculation that was probably going to be Brody King.
I thought there was a rumor or something that released that Brody King was signed to AEW.
I don't know. If there was, then I completely missed the boat on that.
Yeah.
Could somebody confirm that?
Yeah,
okay.
Because when I seen that, I'm like, man, well, there goes that faction.
Right.
With Tony Deppen, Homicide, and Brody. And who was the fourth one that was in there? There was a fourth member also.
It's a good question. I do not know, but thank you, Mike Cook, for telling us Brody has already officially signed. I'm a big Brody King person, and I think he's going to do really well. I think he's another monster. But if you've watched his work in GCW or you've watched his work in Ring of Honor, that guy is ridiculously talented. I cannot wait to see some of the matches that he's going to be involved in.
And for a big man, he can move very well.
Oh, I agree. I agree completely. I mean, what is he? I want to say he's not quite 300 pounds. I would say he's
I would say he's easy 300.
Do you think he's easy 3? I thought he was like in the 280s or somebody look that up for us.
Yeah. I would say he's an easy 300.
Okay. This is a perfect point that I'm going to say here. Here is the perfect point I'm going to make. So I want everyone to hear this. When I talk about somebody who needs to break out and do something different, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hikaru Shida. She kind of changed her look and went more badass. Hikaru Shida is different than that smiley girl who used to come out. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
They need to do that with Statlander. They need to make her a little bit edgier, because it made Shida really, really relevant again and popular again. People were excited to see her. So I'm excited about her. I'm excited about Jamie Hayter. Here's my question. Leva Bates. She's on BTE quite a bit, but I don't watch Dark or Dark Elevation. I don't know if anybody in the chat does. Is she featured on any of those other shows? Because I honestly, her record in AEW is 0-2 for singles and 0-1 in a tag team.
Yeah. Well, look at some of the others. You had Penelope Ford.
Penelope Ford is interesting. I think Penelope Ford is good. Now, do I necessarily see her as a world champion? Probably not. I like her. I think she's got a great look, and I think she can wrestle well. You know, she's done a lot of intergender wrestling. When I was doing a little bit more research on her, a lot of intergender wrestling. And I think that she would be good as a tag team if you were to put her and the Bunny together. And I think they could be a tag team. But you don't have a lot of those really established, well-groomed wrestlers like, I hate to keep saying this, but Serena Deeb. Serena Deeb reminds me of a female Bret Hart.
Yes. Like to me, I honestly think that well, for one, Penelope and the Bunny were a tag team for the longest time. They work together, of course, going up against Anna Jay and Conti. So,
I also feel like, and tell me if you agree with this, you still need to have almost that like Nicole Bass type of female in your division, like a monster. And I guess you could say that would be Nyla Rose, but I just don't have a lot of confidence in Nyla Rose. Nyla Rose is somebody who, she's not intimidating. I mean, I know they try to present her as being an intimidating force, as this, larger female who can dominate her opponents at will, but I don't have that, oh my God feeling. You know what I mean? Like, okay, they need to have somebody in there who's a lot more, I feel like, intense, a bigger, intense wrestler who can kind of dictate the pace of a match and destroys people. And I just don't feel like that wrestler has quite come across their roster yet. And who is this magical girl? Yuka? I can't even pronounce it. Mike Cook's going to have to answer that one. Is she the girl that during the pandemic, when they were at Daly's place, would dance around all the time? She would dance around. She looked like she was a pop singer or something like that. Or is that somebody different? I'm not sure.
Yeah. But, you sit there and look at all. Now, okay, what are your Mackie Ito?
I guess, hey, you would do better than I would. I did not like that at all. And that might have gotten over in Japan, but that whole pop star singing stuff, I was like, what? Whatever. But I'm with you. I am a little concerned about the women's division. I feel like there needs to be a little bit more, and I don't think they should spread themselves so thin with having 2 belts when right now you don't even have somebody who is a serious threat to Britt Baker right now. Like, yeah. Who are they? Who are they lining up right now? Who's going to be a direct threat to Britt Baker?
Ruby Soho, but they already did that. You can't just keep bringing people in. And if you look at it, the tag division would have been great to have.
Right.
Because you get more exposure to these women, to get people more familiar with them, to bring the product, full circle and everything. You can bring in other tag teams. You can bring in, who are they? Inspiration. They used to be the Iconics.
Yeah, you could. I don't know what their contract looks like.
You could have brought them in for a tag run. Since Ring of Honor is no more, how about Mandy and Angelina Love? They were a tag team in ROH. So,
I may be all on an island by myself when I say this. And I'm not saying this for any other reason other than her abilities in the ring. Put aside all of the past transgressions, the way she's conducted herself, whatever. You absolutely need to finally bring in Tessa Blanchard. I'm sorry, you got to bring her in. You got to bring her in. And I know the dirt sheets that you read and the websites, they say, well, no promotion's going to touch her. Well, for God's sakes, somebody's got to do something because she's untapped potential right there. She has that Triple H in a female version mentality. I mean, for God's sake, she was Impact Wrestling's world champion when she beat Sami Callihan. So I think it needs to happen. I think they need to bring in Tessa Blanchard. Someone says, let's see here. Is the other wrestler? Okay. From Joshi. Okay.
Okay. Jersey Devil. If Jade does get the TBS title, do you have to pull the trigger on a Thunder Rosa women's title win?
You mean putting her over a Britt Baker, you mean?
Yes.
Britt's got to have the belt come off of her anyway. It's time. It is more than enough time. I think you do. You have to take the belt off of Britt.
Not to be bouncing back and forth like we have, but I almost feel like I'm on a 6 degrees of Ritt and Freland here, the way we're just going down this rabbit hole. But okay, what are your thoughts on the open storylines at the end of Ring of Honor? You have FTR and the Briscoes.
I think the Briscoes are definitely going to come in to AEW. I think they're going to come in. They'll probably sign short-term contracts. They'll come in. They'll have a feud with FTR. I think that will be huge. I think they may team up with an Eddie Kingston at some point in time. Maybe have a trios with maybe FTR and either Sean Spears or MJF. I think that would be really interesting. But yeah, I definitely see them coming in and at least coming in for a short period of time before they finally determine what's going to happen with Ring of Honor, because they're, once again, we think they're coming back in April, but we don't have 100% confirmation. Even Kerry Silkin, has talked that, Ring of Honor's been great and this has been wonderful. And, the way Sinclair has been with them, but there's no necessarily guarantee that this is going to come back. So there's a lot of people who I think really could benefit from being seen on this stage of AEW. And it could really inject some new blood into some storylines that I think would be really interesting.
Now, there's a small rumor that I was reading about Ring of Honor that when they come back, it said that it might be a possibility that they don't sign contracts for long term. They were talking about possibly doing an indie style where we're going to pay you per appearance and we're going to sign you for X amount of appearances. You're going to run those out, and then we'll see where, what goes.
Yeah, I could see that, but then I also don't think necessarily wrestlers are going to go for that, because a lot of wrestlers are looking for a contract that's going to be more of a guaranteed, more stability, if you will, and they're not going to want to look at a couple $100 each night. I don't think they're going to be looking for something like that. They're going to want to look for some level of security. Keep in mind, a lot of these guys and gals have already spent years on the independent circuit. Now they finally get to a promotion and you're being told, I'm only going to give you a per diem, and we'll use you. We may not use you. I do think that's the one aspect that people go to WWE for. And that's because there is a little bit more stability and there's more of a steady income as far as a paycheck is concerned. And trust me, I'm not a WWE defender. I cannot stand that company. But what I will say is that's the one thing that they offer people, such as the Samoa Joes, such as potentially if Johnny Gargano re-signs with WWE. There's things that people look at long-term for their future that says, yeah, I might not be thrilled, but at the end of the day, I got a nice bank account and I'm happy about that, instead of being a starving artist. So it really kind of depends where you are in your life. And if you're cool with a per diem every night, that's great. If not, you might want to go somewhere else.
Kind of like what Kevin Owens did. He took the money because it set up his family.
Right.
And family came first. He might not be happy when he goes to work every time. And a quick, I'm not sure if that's going to be on your topic list, but WWE talking about, we're not going to test. And then rumor has it that Roman Reigns he pulled himself from the house shows.
Well, we are going to be talking about that on the panel tonight. We're going to be talking about, one of our topics is WWE and their COVID-19 protocol, especially with Omicron going all around. What's happening with this? Is that kind of a general consensus within wrestling that we're not going to be testing anymore because of the symptoms with the Omicron not as severe? A lot of people have been reporting that they are very mild symptoms of the COVID brand, if you will. So I don't know what's going to happen, but we are definitely going to jump into that topic as well tonight.
Yeah, I can't wait. But guys, we're at the top of the hour.
Top of the hour.
We're going to sit there and hit a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to have you, Angelina Love.
Ooh, you almost said Angelina Jolie, didn't you?
No.
Oh, gosh. Angelina Love. Don't go anywhere, guys. This is front row material. Welcome back to Front Row Material. My name is Mike Freland. I'm still festive in the holiday season, and I'm joined, as always, by my good longtime friend,
The Ritt. Man,
it's been a good show so far.
I sit there and can't believe to this day that in that video, that is all Mikey Whipwreck.
Yeah, that's all him.
And all those voices. It's crazy.
Well, he's told me on numerous occasions he's got about 40 or 50 different voices in his head. I mean, you do know he wrote Randy Orton's Voices in My Head song, don't you?
I can only imagine. Yeah. But Freeland,
yes,
it is FRM pod time, and we have an amazing guest that is ready to grace our presence. Are you ready, Freeland?
You know what? I am. Yeah, I almost feel okay. I'm gonna preface this real quick. Do you watch Impractical Jokers?
I love it. I watch it 24/7.
Okay, so right? Murr has a huge crush on Winnie Cooper, right? That's kind of the running gag on the show. Well, her name is Danica
McKellar or something like that.
Something to that extent.
Yeah.
Well, he had to do an interview with her, but I think he was in like a Speedo or something, and God knows I should never be in a Speedo. But anyway, it's kind of like that. So you might have to help me because I'm
Freeland.
Yeah.
She just left. Why did you have to say that? Our guest had just left because you said that.
Well, it's just you and I right now.
Well, she was backstage and then she jetted. Thanks. So now, guys, we have no guest because Freeland doesn't know how to control his emotions.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
But anyways, how about this? We bring on the one half of the greatest entrance in wrestling history, Ms. Angelina Love.
Oh my goodness. How are you? It's good to see you. Thanks for carving out some time for us.
Oh, thank you. We're very proud of our entrance.
Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Before we get started here, what have you been up to recently? How's life been treating you? And you staying safe during all this crazy COVID stuff?
Oh yeah. I mean, it really didn't change life for us much because I didn't let it change life very much. You know what I mean? So, yeah, we've been good. My son, he's playing Wii. I got him a Wii U for Christmas. So he's all about the Wii and the Wii U. So, he is preoccupied, while I do this. So we had a wonderful Christmas. I hope you guys did too.
Absolutely. So what else has been going on as far as you in the wrestling industry, just even obviously before Christmas? What's on your radar right now?
Anything and everything, I guess. I just turned 40 in September, and I think Velvet and I are living proof that age is just a number. I actually was just finalizing a booking right before I got on here with you guys. So I think that because like everybody knows that Ring of Honor people can now take outside bookings, and where we could before, but just like for appearances, we couldn't wrestle shows, but now we can go wrestle shows anywhere. So we're all just kind of starting to take bookings now. So I have a little surgery, a little eye surgery at the end of January. So I'll be taking about 6 weeks off at that point. Oh, sorry.
You're fine.
He doesn't have pants on. Just making sure. What? Oh, you got your underwear on. You're okay. Do you want to come say hi real quick?
The rebound point doesn't have any pads.
Oh, okay. This is David.
Look at this. Hi, David. How are you?
Good.
Did you have a nice Christmas?
Yeah.
Good. Did Santa take care of you?
Yeah.
Whoa, he did take care of you. That's awesome.
I think this needs to be plugged in, baby. Okay.
Okay.
Come on back anytime you want, David.
He usually makes a cameo. If I do interviews when he's home, he usually pops in to say hi. So, yeah. That's awesome. Sorry, if you were asking a question, I did not hear what you said.
Well, I did want to ask you this. Do you feel like nowadays, especially with the advent of AEW, wrestlers are now really getting to be the independent contractors that they were originally supposed to be for their entire careers, instead of what we've seen by WWE, which is, no, you're our possession, you're our property, you can't do this or that or anything like that. Do you like it now that they call it the door has been opened up? How do you feel about that?
The forbidden door.
The forbidden door.
Yes, the forbidden door, I think, is the biggest part of it. Because before it was like, even when we worked in Impact, some people couldn't do indies, but for the most part we could. Ring of Honor had its rules where it's like you could make appearances, but you can't wrestle. So I think having that like forbidden door opened up is really good. The only thing I worry about with that is it's like, it's so newly fresh and exciting for everybody. If it's done all the time, then it like loses its luster. You know what I mean?
agree.
So I think it's great to do for certain major pay-per-views or something. But if you're doing it all the time, where it's like every week on your weekly show, you have somebody come from another company, then it's like, cool, who's coming this week? You know, you want to keep those things like fresh and exciting.
I think it's kind of comparable to what WCW was trying to do with Goldberg back in the day. They didn't want to put him on TV all the time or on all their shows because you wanted to hold back a little bit. You wanted people to really appreciate those big moments where if you didn't do that, you know, it was, oh, they're back again. Oh, he's here again. So I do like the concept of what you were saying about
Vince and I just talked about that on our podcast, the beautiful podcast that me and Velvet have. I had Vince on this week, Vince Russo, and he was talking about like the whole women's revolution, evolution thing, whatever it's called. And, you know, there was always just used to be like one women's match on a male dominated show for the most part. And like the women and like the short people were like the, you know, the matches, like the, not the side matches, but it was just like the, I'm not coming up with the right word. The showcase or something, you know what I mean? Where it's like, you could have 7 guy matches and then you have like a short person match and then you have a women's match. And those are the features or whatever. If you're making that as common as all the men's matches, then it takes that feature kind of part away from it, you know? So it's like a very fine line. Very fine line.
How did you guys feel about the whole women's revolution since you brought that up? Because a lot of people
we started it.
I was about to say that was TNA and WWE. You're like 10 to 15 years way behind what they were doing and what you guys were doing. So
yeah, but WWE likes to take credit for everything. So I think
this is true. This is very true. But what you guys were doing, let's kind of focus on that. What you guys were doing in TNA was revolutionary and was really awesome because it wasn't just the whole bra and panties match and stuff like that. It was, hey, these girls are gorgeous, but they also can completely kick ass and they can carry matches and they can carry a show. So you have to feel really good that you were a part of something like that early on.
Yeah, that is something that I'll carry for my whole career and my whole life because that's something that nobody can take away from us. You know what I mean? It was us OGs that started it. It was the dictionary definition of like right place, right time, right people. You know what I mean? Because like had Velvet ever got hired by WWE, she never would have been able to be there. Had I ever succeeded when I was under WWE contract, I never would have been there. Me and Velvet had to do the beautiful. We had to be the two to do the beautiful people. We had to come together at that time, and it had to be in TNA, and it had to be in 07, 08, where it was like WWE went uber PG, and like we were on Spike TV, we were on the Man's channel, like Ultimate Fighter was on after us, you know, we were. So as far as like, you know, I think we did one bra and panties match in TNA, and like we were devastated. But the funny thing is like we didn't really wear much more than that as our wrestling gear anyway, so we were like, why is this even weird? But we just, I was talking to Vince about this on our podcast. It was funny. I took kind of a weird pleasure in, like, I understand I'm a very judgeable book by my cover. Like, I get that, you know? And I feel like people would look at Velvet and I especially and be like, oh, they're hot, they must suck. You know, like we get that. And that to me was like, oh God, like that just gave me like so much fuel because I know I'm a good worker. So I loved like people like undercutting me maybe initially and then getting in the ring and like kicking ass. Like that was always like such a like, you know, thing for me where I was just like, total package, you know?
Wouldn't you agree that in some ways, and I've noticed this over the years watching wrestling, you know, they say the hot girls, that's why they're getting the push. That's why they're getting seen. Well, I bet you they don't necessarily like that because what happens is it puts even more pressure on them because it's like, oh, you only got hired because of your looks. But then you show them, hey, I'm more than just this, right? But it's gratifying to be able to show that to them, but it also has to be in some ways annoying.
That never bothered me, to be honest, because I grew up watching Pamela Anderson on Baywatch. Sable in WWE. Like I was obsessed with like that big boob, blonde hair, like blonde bombshell thing. I was like, I want to be that. And I knew that from like a very young age. So that, and you know, when I came up, I've been in this business for 21 years now. When I was coming up, everything was, you have to have implants. You have to have this certain look. So to me, I don't know. That was never something, I think because I always wanted to look that way anyway, it was never like an insulting thing. There was some weird things in WWE where, you know, I would get asked like weird questions at like 23 years old. Like, how did I feel my height to weight ratio was? Did I feel like I was a good weight for my height? Was I happy with how I looked? And like, I'm real young and like, this is like a very high up person asking me this and I don't really know how to answer that. Do I say, yes, I think everything with me is fine and they disagree with me? Or do I say, no, I need to improve myself and then they like that answer? I had no idea what to say. And then I tore my ACL when I was in Deep South and I was out for 9 months. I mean, I came back like as fast as I possibly could because I was scared of getting fired. And I was like rehabbing 4 hours a day, 4 days a week. I looked like a fitness model. I was in ridiculous shape. And this same person, this is like 2 years later, this same person like pulled me aside and was like, are you okay? Just cause like, you're so small now, you know, and I care about my divas. So, you know, I just want to make sure. And I'm like, I've lost 9 pounds in 2 years. Like, I'm just like shredded. Like I'm a small person anyway. So like, I guess a 10-pound weight fluctuation can look different on my frame. I don't know. But I remember being like, wow, it's like not good here and it's not good here either, huh? There's just like no happy on the one side or the other side. I don't know. So yeah. But as far as like looks wise and stuff like that, like I've never had a problem with that because I was always like Peggy Bundy hair, glitter, 8 pounds makeup, butt cheeks hanging out of the skirt, tanner, all the things. Cause I'm like, I've always had the thought process of we're characters, we're performers, we're in a play, we're in a show, we're in a movie. You're not supposed, my personal opinion, I don't think that you should look the same on a show as you would when you go grocery shopping at 10 p.m.
That makes sense.
And if I was a guy, I know if I was a guy at a wrestling show, I would want to see attractive females if there's going to be females on the show. My personal opinion.
It's interesting. You had touched upon how maybe they weren't intentionally saying something, but they were. Were there awkward conversations? Were there awkward conversations that at a young age, was there anyone that you could talk to? Because I feel like in some ways, talking to a young female about these different things, knowing that she's putting her heart and soul into a career, it really can lead to body dysmorphic. I mean, the guys go through it more than anything.
Oh, I went through it for sure. And it was because of WWE for sure. 100%. And no, I didn't have like a female mentor to talk to at that time. And I've spoken to Chrissy Vane about this. Do you know Chrissy? Connor from the Ascension, his wife.
Yes.
We were in Deep South together.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. And she's back on the Indies now too. Her and I have been talking about how with our experience, time in the business and experience and stuff like that, we would like to be able to be that for younger people now. Like when I'm done physically, like I'll be the part of the wrestling business probably my whole life. It's already been more than half my life at this point anyway. But once I'm done, once I decide to be done physically competing, I would like to have a backstage role as a producer or a trainer or whatever. Because I just have so much experience in TV and just working at so many different places with so many different people to be able to give on to like the next generation. And we understand now, just with our own experiences and what we've been through, the importance of like being that female mentor, because we're in that kind of vet position right now. You know what I mean? To be able to be that like for the younger generation coming up, and having not had that, we know now the importance of being able to have that.
With being in such a male dominated profession, and like you said before, I mean, it can be difficult to know who to talk to, can I trust this person? I know that a lot of people we've interviewed before said it's a very difficult industry to be in because you don't know who to talk to because you don't know who's going to say what. And it's very tricky. Specifically in WWE, do you feel like it was difficult, obviously, to either talk to management or anything about some of your concerns? Or did you feel like, you know what, it was kind of looked upon, the culture was like, hey, for the most part, just kind of keep things to yourself?
So WWE was not like whatever I thought it was in my head before I got there. I think because I was so young, I got hired when I was 25. I got released, or 23, and I got released when I was 25. So, and we were in Deep South. So it was always just like, shut your mouth, and don't say anything. Just, you're fortunate to be under contract. Don't do this. Don't do that. Shut the fuck up and just go. So, and it was a very rough experience on everybody that was down there. Very rough. And I never so Dreamer, I was Dreamer's first hire. So he was in talent relations for a while, and then Nova went in. I still call him Nova. Mike Bucci. He went in, and I've known him since I was 19. So there was like a comfort with Tommy, and there was a comfort with Nova. And the only thing I think that I really I didn't even really speak out, but the one thing that I maybe commented on, us kids in Deep South, we would just be each other's support system. You know what I mean? So we wouldn't really, because we didn't even think we could trust many of our superiors either. So we were kind of our own support systems for each other, because we were all kind of going through the same things at the same time. But I was told very early on when I was in Deep South, oh my gosh, you're so good. You're so pretty. You should be on the road right now. And being 23, I'm thinking I'm set for life. I was at first I'm oh my God, thank you. That's so great. I'm so glad. Oh my God, WWE thinks I'm good. They think I should be on the road. This is going to be great. And then 2 years later, and watching a bunch of Diva Search girls just to walk into Deep South and then onto TV. And I'm just sitting there and then somebody had said that to me another time, why aren't you on the road? You're so good. And I'm yeah, why aren't I?
Yeah.
It wasn't a compliment anymore. At first, it was a huge compliment. And then after, I was yeah, why aren't I? What's the holdup?
It's got to be we have talked to Matt Cardona before and Brian Myers and whatnot.
They
and
came in when I was there. So I was there from the day the doors opened until the day the doors shut. They came in as little 20-year-olds. God bless them. Good guys. Such good guys, those two. And
they've had similar stories about everything that you're saying about who can I trust? Who can I talk to? We're our own support systems. And I guess from me, from being a fan's perspective and hearing these things about people that I really enjoy watching, my heart goes out. That sucks. At the end of the day, you have a place that you really want to work at, and you had this vision in your mind of what it would be like. And I think in some ways, maybe we've built this up to being the Disney of pro wrestling. And then all of a sudden you get there and it's what is this? What is going on here? I feel there should be.
It's a weird toxic relationship where it's even though it's probably not good for you and your mental health, you're still so attached to it because it's been your dream since you were a kid, so it's it really can kind of mess you up. And it doesn't do that to everybody. I would say a large amount of people. It was definitely not what I thought it was. But then again, what did I even know to base off of what I could think it was? I was a kid growing up watching it. So, and then when I got released, I was devastated, had to drink to fall asleep for a month straight. Wow. Type of devastated. And it took me many years because I always wanted to have that WrestleMania moment. You know what I mean? I lived for that when I was a kid. I always wanted to have that. But then Velvet Knight specifically, and numerous other people in TNA, we were able to become that household name, be on pay-per-view, be on TV, travel the world without having that machine behind us. So we're very proud of that because a lot of people think you have to have that WWE behind your name for anybody to know who you are. And I think Velvet Knight specifically are living proof you do not. But it, like I said, took me many years to have that 2020 hindsight of it. Working in WWE probably would have destroyed me. probably would have destroyed me. And it was a universal God-like detour into something that was way better for me. That once again, it could have only been Velvet Night, could have only been at that time. And had either of I made it in WWE, we never would have been able to come together and do the beautiful people. And that's like what we're known for. So very happy for that.
Well, Angelina, we have a listener that wanted to ask you a question. What's your next plan after the ROH hiatus, and who's your next opponent?
So ROH is coming back at Supercard, which is WrestleMania weekend. And I think, we don't know. After Final Battle, it was kind of like, we're all taking the rest of the year off. Like people in the office probably are just like, nope, we're done. Holidays, and then we'll come back January 2nd and we'll go pedal to the metal. So I believe there's a bunch of restructuring that needs to be done. I'm sure lots of familiar faces will be back. Some won't. We don't know. But I know they are, like, Supercard is a definite go WrestleMania weekend. And then after that, I think it'll be like the house show, the live event company, which is good because I don't think WWE does live events anymore. And I don't know if Impact travels either. So I'm like, that could actually be a really good thing and just be Ring of Honor's like specific thing. But I think we're going to find out in the next 2 to 3 months, a whole lot more. Cause we were all kind of like shocked with the news and, you only have so many, you have questions, but then like, they don't even know yet. They're like, we just need to finish out the year, get through the holidays. And then it's like go time in January. So I do have one booking in January before I have my little surgery. And it is a surprise.
Ooh. Let me ask you this.
My March and April is actually starting to get to be really busy too.
Let me ask you this. When it comes to, taking bookings and whatnot, I would imagine earlier in your career, right? Did anybody ever tell you when you were training with Deep South or even prior to Deep South, that it was hard to break into the wrestling business? Did anybody ever have that talk with you? Like, hey, this isn't going to be easy, or, No,
because I was already in the business. By the time I got hired by WWE, I was already in the business for 4.5 years. I started when I was 18. So I just dove in headfirst.
so straight out of high school, basically, you decided this is what I'm going to do. And
so I graduated high school at 17 and I started college at 17. So it was like my second year of college. Yeah. My mom didn't want to let me and my sister take a year off in between high school and college because she feared we just wouldn't end up going. So she was like, nope, you graduate in June. You're back in school in September. So I just got an associate's in sports administration because I was just like, what's the closest to wrestling? What's the closest to wrestling that I could do? And that was like the closest thing that they could suggest. So yeah, I just started on my own. And basically the only females who were on the indies at that time, Tracy and Gail were doing Ron Hutchinson's, I think it was AWF in Toronto. But if you worked for Ron, you only worked for Ron. So they weren't doing a lot of other shows. So when I started, they were doing AWF and just AWF. I was doing like every Ontario indie. And like the only girls were like strippers or guys' girlfriends who were like valets for the show. So I come in like this little blonde, like wrestling loving 18-year-old. I've got a Austin 316 wallet. And like, I can't wait to tell everybody about all my favorite wrestlers. And they were just like, you're actually serious about, like, you actually want to do something and go somewhere? And I was like, yeah, who doesn't? But they didn't know that because it was always just like random valets or random strippers doing something. They weren't used to seeing somebody like young and hungry and serious coming in. So it was just like, so basically like nobody really prepped me for anything. For me, it was just experience as I go.
What was mom's thoughts? We always like to ask the question, what do the parents feel about, wrestling's obviously not something that, parents, are always going to hear, but when you expressed that interest, what was the parental version of what they told you?
So I don't think they were too shocked because like I was voted most likely to become a professional wrestler in my graduating high school yearbook. they knew my obsession. My dad had taken me to like live events in Toronto when live events still used to get 30,000 people. And so they knew I was like crazy about it. But everybody has to make an appearance every time I do interviews. So my mom, I mean, my parents are rock stars. They've like been able to do more than I think that I could ever do as far as like parenting, like just being a 16-year-old. And my parents would be like, my sister and I would go out and they'd just be like, all right, be back by 11. And, you know, there's like no cell phones at that time. I was like, how did you guys sit at home and not lose your minds for 6 hours? So they were fine at first because I started off valeting. I never planned on being a wrestler. Never. I was going to be Shawn Michaels' valet, and that was it. So I started off managing for like a year and a half. And then I was always with the same two guys this tag team that I managed, and they were always wrestling the same two guys. And I always had the same two spots for like every indie show for a year. And I'm a Virgo, so I'm like, I gotta have new things. I'm a perfectionist. I need to do more. And so I just wanted to start wrestling. And when I told my mom that, she was like, why? I thought you just want to be a manager and stay on the outside and be safe. But I had already gotten like injuries because I was like taking bumps when I shouldn't have been. And so I started training, and I think after 3 weeks I quit. Major perfectionist. I couldn't, I was just so lanky. With bumping, you know, it's not natural to just throw yourself on your back. So I would just always like land on my tailbone and whack my head, land on my tailbone and whack my head and my elbows and just everything. I couldn't, like when I would get home, I couldn't lift my legs. My tailbone was such a mess. I couldn't lift my legs up the 3 steps from the garage into the laundry room. I had my head hurt all the time. My elbows were black, and I was like, and I couldn't get arm drags. Because you have to bridge and go with it. And it was just weird movements. And I was just so frustrated. I was like, maybe this is just not for me. And I stopped for 6 months. And then it just made me crazy. I was like, I need to try again. I have to go back. Like it was just something in me. And then once I went back, it was like everything just started clicking. Everything. And then, you know, you get that momentum, you're rocking and rolling, you start feeling more confident, more positive, and just go from there.
Who was your first trainer during all this process before you ended up getting signed?
So I think the first 3 weeks that I did that training, I was trained by EY in Cambridge,
Nice.
Ontario, Eric Young.
Yep.
And then I trained with Rob Fuego in Toronto. He was he wrestled as Rob Fuego. He very, very close with Christian, Edge, Rhino, Johnny Swinger. He was always doing the dark matches anytime WWE would come to the Sky Dome or anything. So he was good, just never got signed. And he was so good. He helped train me, helped train Gail, Tracy, Taylor Wilde. He was like, we couldn't have asked as females for a better male trainer than Fuego. Go ahead, baby.
So, man, there's so many things you've shared with us already, which is fascinating. From
I've lived a few lives.
Yeah, from graduating high school, obviously going on to college, and then deciding that this is definitely what I want to do, to then quitting it after only so many weeks, and then deciding, you know what, I've got to. It's in my blood. I come back. So, kind of to fast forward here, after you left, WWE with very mixed feelings about the wrestling business. What was the very next thing that kind of crossed your mind? Was it, hey, I have to pick myself up and keep going? Or what was the next person that talked to you?
Well, it was only a 5-month period between getting released from WWE and appearing and being under contract for TNA.
Correct.
So the thing that was so weird was I had been living in the States probably for like a year. Okay, when I got released from WWE, okay, so I was down in the States for about a year. I got hired. I went back up to Canada to get the work visa. Came back down. I was down there for 2 years. And then to me, it was just, I didn't know how to probably really handle that at the time. Because when I got hired, it was like, oh, I'm set for life. I'm going to be a diva. And I remember when we all got into Deep South, Tommy hired all of us. He came down and he talked to us, and he's always very honest. Here's your best case scenario. Here's your worst case scenario. No bullshit. And he's like, best case scenario, Y'all become superstars, WWE champions, make millions of dollars, do 100 WrestleManias, whatever. He's like, worst case scenario, and what will happen to all of you guys, and I mean this in the nicest way possible, but this is just true. All of you will get fired at some point. And we're all new, and we're just like,
okay.
but it's true, because I mean, basically all of us have that. We're in Deep South anyway. At some point down the line, we've all got fired. I'd say the only person, Connor obviously did really good. Banks is back there, MVP. Luke Gallows, you know, so I mean, like, we've all done well in like our kind of separate outside of WWE ways. But I was so devastated when I got released. I moved in with my sister in her townhouse. Like, I never had any plans of living in Canada again. You know, I was just like WWE and beyond, forward, forward, forward. I never thought, so when I was back, go ahead, baby. Go ahead. When I was back and I'm just letting him have candy now. So when I was back in my sister's townhouse, like sleeping in the guest room, I was just like, what is my life? Like, what am I doing back in Canada? How am I not a WWE diva anymore? Like, I couldn't wrap my head around it. And I had done a couple appearances for TNA when they were at the Asylum prior to getting hired by WWE. And I knew a ton of people that were there. Sabin, Alex, Shelley, Scott, DeMar. Like, I mean, I knew almost everybody that was there from being there and then from indies prior to that. So when I got released just a couple months later was when they came up with the idea for the Knockouts division. So then they contacted me. That's when they were going to start it. So they contacted like, 9 or 10 girls at once. And I was one of them. And, you know, I worked for Demor's BCW when I was 19 years old. That's where I met Terry Taylor. They were both in TNA at the time. So they just contacted me. So I got released in May 2007. And then come September 2007 was when we all kind of went in right at the end of that month. And then we did that big battle royal to crown the first champion. It was October 2007 at Bound for Glory. So it wasn't a huge time in between. I did a couple indies and I was with TNA. So
who would you say was your biggest supporter as far as the women's division, all of you ladies, when it was in TNA? Did you feel like, obviously it was a contrast from what you experienced in WWE. A lot of people, even Jerry, said that he really enjoyed and had a lot of fun in TNA. So tell me a little bit about how you felt emotionally. Was there an emotional connection along with a professional connection? Did you feel like, okay, this is the experience that I wanted to have when I was going to be in WWE, but yet I'm having that experience now, but I'm somewhere else?
Yeah, I think once again, I was so young. I was 25, you know, and I was just so happy because, I mean, when I was in WWE, I wanted to be on TV. I wanted to be on pay-per-views. I wanted to be doing house shows and traveling, but I never got to do that. I was immediately doing that in TNA. So I was just so happy about that because that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted. It didn't happen where like maybe I thought it would have, but once again, I probably would have got destroyed in WWE. Destroyed. So yeah, TNA was just perfect for us.
You had mentioned, you know, being destroyed with WWE. Do you mean as far as just they wouldn't handle you properly? They wouldn't have positioned you correctly? Tell me a little bit more what you mean about that.
Somebody made my experience there horrendous to where I didn't even want to get on TV, which is weird. Like anytime they would come to the Atlanta area, we always had to go. And I never wanted to go because of this one specific person.
Wow.
So, which is very weird because it was like, I kind of just wanted to stay in the bubble, the little developmental bubble, just a little bit. But I feel like it would have destroyed me mentally and emotionally, not physically. I was good to go. Mentally and emotionally, probably. So I feel like that was kind of a saving, the detour that I had to get released. And then, because my release was BS, I got like 2 different reasons. And one of them was creative had nothing for me. And I was like, I'm supposed to go to TV in 4 days. What do you mean creative has nothing for me? And, you know, I knew it wasn't a real reason. So
when TNA went and contacted you, who's the initially pitched you the idea for the Beautiful People eventually?
Well, that was mine and Velvet's idea.
So
and we
you guys are the
worked
ones
on
who
it.
pitched it to them.
Yes, because there was so many new girls at one time. And Velvet and I were so similar in many ways. We knew each other prior because like she had come down to deep. We did WEW pay-per-view indie shows in Philly in like 03. And then she came down and had like a week tryout when I was in Deep South. And then we did an indie together prior to both of us starting TNA after it got released from WWE and then prior to us starting TNA. So we both knew that we were going to be there. And we have so many similarities as far as like personality quips and sense of humor. And, you know, we were always the ones who was like 10 pounds of makeup, Peggy Bundy hair, as sexy as we can be, all the tanner and the glitter and all the things. So, and I think because we knew each other when they were trying to find out like, pairing up girls, like for hotel rooms, we would always have like a roommate in a hotel room and whatever. It was like me and Velvet will travel together. So we became close very quickly. And we realized we were kind of like scanning the atmosphere. And we were like, there's so many new one singular character women here. We need to be different from that. So we wanted to do a tag team thing. We're like, let's be a little group. Let's be a little, we got these so many similarities. Like, let's let that be our different thing to where everybody is one singular person, but we're like two, we're a team, we're a group. Mm-hmm. So we brought that up to Vince and he loved it. Vince was such an easy person to work with. He always listened to ideas, was always there to talk, was always so supportive, covered the show and the women. The opportunities were always so equal. And the only thing that we didn't agree on was the name. We started TNA with both of our indie names, Talia Madison and Angel Williams, for like the first 2 months we were there. And then all of a sudden, I guess they just decided they wanted to change our names and have it be a different TNA specific thing. And then they gave us Velvet Sky and Angelina Love. We hated them at first. We were like, these are the dumbest, lamest. Like when I called Tal and told her what her name was, she freaked out. She was like, what is even a Velvet Sky? And I was like, Angelina Love. I was like, love. Like that's my last name. But they thought they were real creative because Angel was in Angelina. So it's like not too far off. And I was like, oh my God. So, but we love them now, obviously, like love them now. But at first we were like, we would have appreciated some input on this. But because we had literal porn star names, we were like, let's just go with it, whatever. So we wanted to call ourselves Velvet Love Entertainment. We're like, there you go. Sounds like a porn company. Perfect. We're just going with the flow and we're making it work. But then literally as we were telling Vince that's what we wanted to be our name, he said the beautiful people. And we were like, that's so lame. Like, what? We're going to be a the? Like, oh no. We were like, that's so tacky. We thought it was so tacky. But he was like dead set on the beautiful. We thought Velvet Love Entertainment was so creative. We were like, oh, this is it. And he was like, the beautiful people. And we were just like, but once again, it was like, it worked out. So
when it came to obviously the dynamics of the women's division in TNA, you have so many iconic matches within that organization. Do you feel like in some ways TNA does not get the credit it truly deserves? When I say back in its heyday, obviously when everything, the machine was going, I feel like a lot of people overlook how good the matches were in TNA. Do you feel like it's just kind of a footnote sometimes when everyone kind of focuses on WWE? Do you ever feel like, hey, you know what? We deserve some credit over here.
Well, at the time that we were doing it, it was everything. And I mean, like WWE was clearly watching because they did some copying of some things with some people, so we knew that what we were doing was good. It was a hit. And like I said, we were on Spike TV, which was like one of the biggest channels at the time. The Ultimate Fighter was on after us. Like we were killing it. So we were getting the highest rated segments on the shows too. Like the knockouts were always getting the highest rated segments on the shows, which we were like blown away, proud, like just couldn't believe it. So at the time, it was like, we felt like we were getting the credit. We felt like we knew and everybody else knew. But I feel like as time's kind of gone on, and then once WWE decided to be like, we're the women's revolution. If people were too maybe young to be watching TNA at the time that we were doing what we were doing, and they just kind of grew up with WWE. That's all they know, right? So, but I feel like there was gosh, this must have been like 2 years ago, if not more. Some website on Twitter did a poll where it was like, who in your opinion was the actual real start of the women's revolution? Like, was it WWE? Was it the TNA knockouts? And we won that poll by a long shot. And I'm talking like thousands to tens of thousands of votes. So we're like, okay, people know. But WWE is like always the number one. Always the number one. So it's almost like nothing outside of WWE would get WWE sized credit, you know? But like I said, as far as Velvet and I, we've made history and made ourselves household names without that machine behind us. And we're always going to be proud of that.
Did they ever reach back out to you, WWE, at some point, obviously, and say, hey, we have seller's remorse? Or was there ever a conversation or an email or a phone call that was made your way to say, hey, you know, we're over here, we'd be very interested? Did that ever happen?
No. I don't know that they cared, because I don't know. Because, you know, once Velvet and I started really going with the beautiful people, everybody was like, oh my God, this needs to be in WWE. This needs to be in WWE. But I think because WWE knows what they did to both Velvet and I prior, they were like, oh no, we'll just do it with our own girls and we'll make it bigger and better, is what I feel like their thought process probably was, but it didn't work.
Did you ever have any conversations with some of the ladies in WWE during this time, you know, when things were really hot with the women's division in TNA? Did you ever get any feedback from any of their women wrestlers from any promotions?
No, because like that Forbidden Door thing wasn't there. It was like direct competition. So it was like, like there was no, like none. Like I've always been close with Natty. Like we were in Deep South together. So like Natty has always been like a sweetheart, super cool. Like just like, hey, you know, talk to anybody. It's fine. But no, it was like, we were like, we're doing our thing on TNA. And they were like, we're doing Ron SmackDown. So it was very like, that time was extremely competitive. So there was no like nicey.
The lines were definitely drawn.
Yeah. At that time. Now it's like, nobody cares. It's cool. But at the time it was very like, yeah.
During that time, was there ever any match in particular that you felt like you were the most proud of? A moment that you were like, man, I really killed it during this moment, or a match or segment, something at that point in time that you just felt like this is everything that I've always wanted to put into it, and here it is, and I got to show it.
Yeah, I feel like the first time yes, baby. Yeah, in a second, baby. Come on. When I first won my first Knockouts title, I always want to say that was my best moment, but I was unconscious on my feet live on pay-per-view. So it could have gone better. But to me, but winning that, even though it didn't make my pay anymore or whatever, that was like such validation for me, you know, because I knew I was good. I knew what I was capable of. And it was kind of like my to WWE, you know, where I was like, there you go. So yeah, this obviously the whole beautiful people thing was just everything for us. And it still is 14, almost 15 years later, which is amazing. And we had a lot of fun. I think also my last knockout standing match with Gail, I did it Hard Justice. I think it was 2014.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the most painful things I've ever been a part of. But it was also just I had already been in the business at 14 years at that point. So it's very easy to get stuck in your own bubble.
Absolutely.
Of just doing the same things all the time. You need to find new things to do to challenge you, to challenge you to come up with something new. And that match specifically like completely took me outside of my box. And I kind of wasn't prepared for it because I didn't know until like that day when we got there that we were doing it. And we were also doing 2 shows that day. So I had to work prior to that. But I loved it because it was like, so hardcore, and like I never do that. And it was with Gail, and I trained with her, so it's like so comfortable us working each other. And it got like better than divas, and holy shit, and this is awesome chance. And we were just like this. We were in in Manhattan, New York, like, but it was just so outside of what I would regularly do in a ring. At first, I was like, I don't want to do this. But then I was like, oh, this is going to be awesome. And then afterwards, I just loved it. And that's always the match that I bring up as far as like took myself out of the box kind of thing, that I'm thankful for having done that. Because it just makes you, just as an artist or a performer, it just gives you that much more, especially after a certain amount of time, to be like, oh, I still got this in me, or oh, I can still come up with new stuff. Like, it's very refreshing.
Well, gosh, I feel like there's so much more meat on the bone.
We can do another one.
I was going to say, Angelina, I would love to pick your brain on psychology and, just how you have now influenced the next generation of women and so many different things, because you've been a staple in women's wrestling for such a long time, and you're still doing it at a very high level. And I think with the way you carry yourself and the integrity that you hold for yourself, and very family oriented, those are things that I would say I appreciate a lot when it comes to a talent that I follow. So definitely, I would love to get a part 2 with you, because I feel there's so much more.
For sure, I would love to.
Now comes the part of the conversation. You've taken the SATs, probably. You've taken the ACT, SATs. Nowadays, did you know there's some universities? I have my master's.
I never took SATs.
Oh, you haven't taken the SATs?
Is that an American thing? I went to school in Canada.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
I didn't take any. I don't think I literally went from high school straight into college. I don't remember anything like that. So.
Well, here in the United States, they have tons of standardized tests, which is just one of those deals. And we kind of have our own standardized test, but it only is one question. That is one question, though, Angelina. I'm telling you.
It's not a favorite question, is it? Because I'm really awful at the favorites game.
It's not the favorites, but I'm going to turn it over to the Ritt, and I want the Ritt to pose it to you.
Okay. Before I get to that question, I have been dying to know what the hell Taz always meant with Velvet with Let the Pigeons Loose. I never got that every time.
Yeah, he always said it with us. I don't know. But we just always knew he said it, and it was funny. Tal would probably know. I don't know why he said that. But it was probably just like, when you like, what am I trying to say? You open up something, like if you opened up a door and birds would just fly out, it's like, here we are, and here's everything. It's probably something like that. It's just like bend over and let loose is probably like the best thing that I could come up with.
As Freland almost is done choking.
Not let loose in that way. Just shake is what I meant. But yeah.
Okay, now here we go. Hot tub time machine. You can go back and do history to any wrestling match ever. You're going to take somebody out of that match, and we're putting Angelina Love in that match. What match is it and why? This might be the hardest question you've ever been asked.
See, now I have to think of my favorite matches. See, it always comes back to a favorite. Obviously one of my favorite matches was Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart, the 60-minute Iron Man, where Shawn won. Lost my mind when that happened. But I wouldn't want to take either of them out of that match. But on the same pay-per-view, so that WrestleMania, which is like my favorite WrestleMania, Goldust and Roddy Piper did the
my gosh.
brawl.
Yeah.
I would take Roddy Piper out, and I would so do a Hollywood backlot brawl with Goldust.
Wow. How perfect
that would be awesome.
Nice.
That would be awesome. Because I could say like a women's championship match, but like let's be fun. Let's be fun and different.
And that is what wrestling is all about. It's about telling a story, and it's about entertaining the fans. And I think if the audience knows you're having a good time, they're going to have a good time as well. Plus, you might have another pro wrestler right there. Look at that. He's got.
He actually does. He actually does do a little karate and a little bit of wrestling. Yeah. He just wants candy right now.
Oh, David, what kind of candy you eating tonight, buddy? Are those like Jelly Bellies or
Whoppers.
Oh, Whoppers?
We love
My
Whoppers. David.
dude.
Oh,
Love it. So let's go ahead and let's do this here, because we do know we have to let you go running against the top of the hour. But what are some ways people can get a hold of you? How can they follow you if people want to book you for seminars or for wrestling events? How do they do it? The floor is yours.
Yeah, so my booking email is alovebookings@gmail.com. It's how Josh got in touch with me. My Twitter at actual alove, Instagram alove4life222, and then Cameo. We do Cameo videos, beautiful people promos, good luck things, happy birthday things, all kinds of stuff. Cameo.com/alove4life. And then me and Velvet do the beautiful podcast, which is on Vince Russo's, I think it's the Realm Network.
Realm
but if
Network.
you go to,
Yep.
yeah. And we do that. That drops every Sunday.
That is
So,
awesome. And if
yeah.
I want to get myself some Angelina Love merchandise, where can I go?
Well, you can go to my kitchen table because I just got a box of these.
Oh my gosh. The
my
micro brawlers.
my little micro brawler. They're so cute.
Oh my gosh, those are awesome.
Okay,
Um,
I might definitely have to get that. Get one of those autographed from you. I'll send you the PayPal.
Yeah, for sure. I had them send me a box because I'm like, I'm gonna sell these. So shophonor.com has both of our Allure shirts. We have the kind of cartoon drawn one, and then we have like the logo one. And then I have a store on Pro Wrestling Tees. Nothing new has been added to it, and I also don't know the link, but I guess if you go to Pro Wrestling Tees, type in Angelina Love somewhere. And then, on shophonor.com, I have my micro brawlers too. And I will have these with me when I'm coming to a show near you at my merch table.
We will make sure we plug that on our social medias and we let all of our listeners know as well. Angelina, this has been so much fun. You are
Thank you guys very much.
Great storyteller, and hearing your story about everything so far has been amazing for our listeners. I know they would love a part 2.
For sure.
You enjoy the rest of your holiday season. Happy New Year.
Yes, you as well. 2022 is going to be awesome.
I agree. We will talk to you down the road.
Thank you guys.
Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Wow. That was a lot of fun. And
Freland,
that was
congratulations. You made it through the interview.
I did make it through the interview. I thought I was going to be stammering and stuttering and all over the place and this and that. But you know what? I was able to make it through. Here's the thing that I love about doing these interviews. You learn so much more about these superstars than you had ever known before. Getting to know behind the scenes and their stories and their struggles and what they went through, you seem to have a lot better appreciation instead of just what you see on TV. Because what you see on TV is it's one aspect of it. But when you hear all of these stories and you get to know what they put themselves through, and just to know that there were some moments, awkward moments when she was younger with a company like WWE and the way they treat people, not cool. But she persevered and she became a household name. She's extremely successful in this business. And I hope, and I'm going to bring this up next time, she needs to do seminars, not only in-ring seminars, but just like one-on-one. This is what I think. And she would be an amazing, amazing coach in any promotion.
Yes, definitely. Like, I know it's hard to stand out, to separate yourself for, wrestling in general, but for a woman, it's hard because everybody wants, this certain type. And I love how Angelina and Velvet went and separated from the pack and took their assets and took their minds and creativity and made a tag team. And at that time, they put them head and shoulders above the rest.
Well, but once again, I think it comes back to people who are driven, and she's driven, and she wanted to do this from day one. Ritt, what have we seen from every single interview we've done? I knew I wanted to do this from the time I was 5. I knew I was going to do this the second I graduated high school. She knew what she wanted, and driven people succeed. And she's just yet another person who was driven to do something. She wasn't going to take no for an answer, no matter how awkward situations became or how poorly people had either treated her or misused her. She was going to make it, and she took it and she ran with it. And you hear the phrase so many times. You made something out of nothing. Well, she took whatever she was given and she turned it into gold.
Yes, definitely. But we're coming on the top of the 10 o'clock hour, and guess what time it is?
Oh, it's panel time.
And on top of the panel time,
it's the award show. It's the award show. We better get our suit and tie ready.
Then, so guys, sit back and enjoy our next commercial. You know which one it is.